Gladstone Regional Council are committed to fostering a proud, involved and engaged community. The Gladstone Regional Council Community Investment Program provides financial support to local community initiatives, projects and events which promote community connections, regional enhancements, community celebrations and community education. For more information on the Community Investment Program, visit gladstone.qld.gov.au. Gladstone Regional Council. Connect, innovate, diversify.
Well, good morning. The time being 9 a.m. I declare open the general meeting for the Gladstone Regional Council for Tuesday, the 6th of August, 2024. The first item on the agenda is our apologies, and councillors, we have received an apology from Deputy Mayor Councillor Muscat. Can I get mover that apology be received, please? Thank you. I'll click to the boardroom picture. Mark, can you assist me with who the mover and seconder was, please?
Yeah, Councillor Bulak and Councillor McIntosh for second.
Thank you. All in favour? Yes, thank you. The motion's carried. Okay, we then move into our conflicts of interest, and I believe I'll throw to Councillor Goodluck, who has a conflict of interest he would like to raise.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I can't, Goodluck, Councillor, declare a prescribed conflict of interest in item number G/3.1, Boyne Tanham Arts Business Community, as I am the President of the committee, and so I will leave the room for that matter.
Thank you, Councillor Goodluck. Councillor Churchill.
Can you hear me?
Now we can, yes, thank you. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you for that. I confirm, as Councillor Glenn Gordon Churchill, that I have a declarable conflict of interest for agenda item G3.1 as well. The Boyne Tanham Arts Business and Community Association deputation, provide information about the future sites of the Under the Trees Music Arts Festival. As previously advised, I'm a member of the International Percussion Society, an active member of a country rock and rhythm band called Sand. Sand is made up of local musicians who perform a variety of engagements and gigs for the community, corporate charities, fundraisers, and also negotiated contract performance agreements. Sand has performed at and for the BT-ABC, BAM popular markets on a number of occasions, with another in the near future. As these performances are a fair and reasonable remunerated gig with BT-ABC, I will choose to leave the chambers. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Churchill. Councillor Patrick.
Yes, I, Councillor Leanne Patrick, inform the meeting that I have a declarable conflict of interest in agenda item G3.1, deputisation of Boyne Tanham Arts Business Community Inc. due to my husband's business, McDonald's Boyne Island, being a financial member of the Boyne Tanham Arts Business Community Inc. Although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I believe I would reasonably be perceived to be impartial, because whether or not the Boyne Tanham Arts Business Community Inc. is successful in their application would not have a significant impact on McDonald's Boyne Island. McDonald's Boyne Island stands to gain no greater benefit than any other member of the Boyne Tanham Arts Business Community Inc. Therefore, I wish to remain in the meeting and ask the eligible councillors to decide if I may participate in the debate and discussion-making process despite my declarable conflict of interest.
Thank you, Councillor Patrick. With the exception of Councillor Goodluck or Churchill, does anyone else have a conflict of interest in that item? No? Questions to Councillor Patrick as to whether she should remain in the room? No questions. Do I have a mover that Councillor Patrick either stay in the room or leave the room, please? Is that Councillor McClintock?
Councillor Holt's on the move. Councillor Wagner.
Thank you. Thank you. That Councillor Patrick remain in the room? Thank you. Any further comments or questions? I'll put that motion with Councillor Goodluck and Churchill obviously not voting. All in favour? Thank you, Councillor Patrick. You can remain in the room. I have a declarable conflict of interest in item 4.2, sorry, a prescribed conflict of interest in 4.2 in terms of peak services, as they are involved in the contract arrangements, as I'm the acting president of Local Government Association of Queensland and also on the board of directors. And Peak Services is a wholly owned subsidiary of LGAQ. I will leave the room at that point in time, and I will hand over when Councillor Goodluck comes back in the room after a deputation to Councillor Goodluck to chair the rest of the meeting at that point. Thank you. We'll now move on to the Mayor's statement. Is there any other conflicts in any other item? No other conflicts. I'll move to the Mayor's statement before we hand over to our deputation. And I just want to mention a few things that happened in our region in the last couple of weeks. Obviously, the opening of the GP Ultra Hub, which is fantastic news for Gladstone in the Valley Shopping Centre. It's got a new name now, but it'll always be the Valley to the locals. It's fantastic to see that facility open there. And of course, at the same time, Glenn Butcher, the member for Gladstone, also announced that there'll be the nurse-led clinic opening next door as well, which is also fantastic news in terms of health services. One of our key strategic priorities for council is delivering more health services, and obviously that's fantastic to see that. Ultra Hub open. We've already seen this organisation run the buses that run out into the Boyne Valley and other places around the region, and also the opening of their facility in Calliope, which is fantastic news for Calliope. It's great to see this this practice expanding into Gladstone City as well. The opening of the Rosebery Housing and Homelessness Hub at Rosebery Community Services happened, of course, in July as well. Councillor McClintock and myself participated in the Boyne Valley 50. He did very well. I think he did 20 kilometres or something ridiculous. Well done, Councillor. And I did survive the 12K there. We had the launch of the Gladstone Region Livability Campaign on the 22nd of July, which has just been a fantastic advocacy item for the Gladstone region in terms of promoting our region, attracting those core services to our region as well. I want to thank Casey Maguire and everyone who's involved in that. We're very fortunate to have some amazing talent in-house at council that was able to produce that, but also some fantastic volunteers in our community as well that helped put that livability campaign together. And if anyone hasn't seen it, I guarantee you should check it out. You'll be glad you made it and glad you visited. It's really a great campaign. The CQU and the Sunshine Hydro MOU was signed on Wednesday, the 24th of July. We launched our Access and Inclusion Plan at the Phillip Street Communities Precinct last Wednesday. Orica celebrated 150 years, and I think it's 35 years in Gladstone. So congratulations to the team at Orica. 150 years is a significant milestone for any company anywhere in the world. And of course, being in Gladstone for more than 3 decades is also fantastic. To see Orica and they have another 35 years or 150 years as operating in our region as well. We then, with events coming up, of course, we have the Mayor's Youth Dinner, which is tomorrow night. We have over 300 young people in our community, I believe, that'll be attending. We're acknowledging them for their involvement in our community, whether it's in sport, whether it's academic, whether it's cultural, whether it's volunteering, just some fantastic young champions in our community that we'll acknowledge tomorrow night. We have the Small Business Friendly Council launch on next Tuesday with the Gladstone Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Symphony Under the Stars is on Friday the 16th of August. Vietnam Veterans Day is the 18th of August. And of course, CQU, mentioning them again, they have their open day on the 22nd of August. There's a few other events coming up, of course, but another big one for the Gladstone region is the Popcorn Art Competition. That's closing soon on the 23rd of August. That's the Mayor's statement on current issues. Thank you, councillors. I'll now move to the next item on the agenda, which is our deputation from BTABC, and I'll ask Councillor Goodluck and Councillor Churchill to... Oh, sorry, my agenda items are different. Okay, I've got them over here.
Happy to move, Mr. Mayor.
Well, first one's 2.1, the 16th of July, the special budget meeting. Thank you, Councillor Churchill. Seconded. My iPhone's not great. Thank you, Councillor Goodluck. Yeah, thank you, Councillor Goodluck. Seconding, all in favour? Thank you, that's carried. 2.2 is the 16th of July ordinary council meeting. Can I have a mover, please?
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Second, Councillor McClintock. Any questions? No questions. All in favour? Thank you, and that's for the 2.2. And then we have 2.3, which is a special meeting on the 30th of July as well. 2.3. Can I have a mover for that, please? I think that's Councillor Wagner and Councillor Holzheimer. Thank you. Any questions? I'll put that motion. All in favour? Thank you, and that's carried as well. That's our budget meeting, special meetings and ordinary meeting. Now we'll move to our deputation. Thank you, Councillor Churchill. I'll get you to log off online, and Councillor Goodluck, if you can leave the room. Thank you, and I'll hand over. I'm not sure. I've got Maxine, Gaston and Esther in the room, I believe. I might hand over to you, Gaston, if you're taking this section, and thank you for attending this morning. I'll hand over to you for your deputation.
Thank you, Matt. Ooh, that's nice and loud. We have Steve Anders with me instead of Esther. He's doing half of the slides, so the first 2 slides are for me. Can they go on the screen?
Yeah. Yes.
So thank you, Matt, for telling what's happening in this lovely region. And it's always sad to see that for a community event, people from the community have to leave the room. I don't understand that, but that's my opinion. You forgot, unfortunately, one other important event, which is this Saturday, The 10th of August at the BAM Esplanade. It's our second Under the Trees on tour. This year we're doing small events. It's from 4 till 10, and we have some 3 beautiful acts coming. One from the United States of America, Allensworth. It's absolutely worth coming, so if you haven't bought a ticket yet, this is the time to do it. Now, from 2017, we started in Boyne together with the BDABC Under the Trees Music and Arts Festival, which has become a signature event for the region. We normally accommodate between the first years about 1,500 people and later over 2,000 people who came to the event. It's a multi-day event. It started off with 1 day and the whole community is part of it. So there are at least 200 volunteers who help to set it up. It's not only making art, making music, but addressing it, making all kind of stuff. It's a really a community effort, and we have been doing really well for the last few years. So we support the local accommodations, the local shops, and the footprint of our festival is relatively small. We have 4 containers full of stuff. And we have a little caravan which is now parked on the bridge, so everybody can see that the event is on. And we have been proven to be a very good festival. So if you can go to the next slide, I'll keep it short. We have a few problems. First of all, last year there were some other events on at the same date, so we lost a bit of money there. But our first event, what we did this year already, made up for that. So we got money in the bank again. After the last year, we were in the red. But fortunately, we are part of the BTABC who could absorb our losses. Now we always have done it at the football club, but the football club has some restrictions. First of all, it's a football club, so they play football, or there is cricket, or there is footy, or there's anything else. So we always have to wiggle around the events to find a suitable date, and every year that is a problem. And last year it was also a problem because for the first time also there was a grand final for the soccer, which normally is never on that weekend. The other thing is that the footy club, which sits on the other side of the water, did their break-up night, and then McCoskers, they had their first show on and for us that was 300 people didn't come, and that's why we run at a loss. So the location has another problem because there's no place to growth. It's always we can't get bigger, we can't grow, we can't, for instance. It is set in this in the side, it can't get bigger. But the other problem is that the soccer club has got a grant and they're gonna do some major innovations, and that means that we cannot use the grounds. So we are really desperate looking for a new location. So the other thing is that we can't have any permanent structures there, because every time when we do the festival we have to go to the sheds, get everything out on a truck, bring it out. There's a lot of work always done, and that's also why we need so many volunteers. So yeah, look, if the council and the community wants to keep the festival growing, we need a new location. And we looked around for all kind of new locations, and we came up with one. And then I think I'll give you the mic, Steve. You want to sit and use this one?
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Gaston. Yeah, I've been obviously assisting Under the Trees, give some planning advice, I suppose, in terms of navigating the approval processes and so on. Gaston came to myself with this site here at 360 Tenham Sands Road, which is the council sewage treatment plant on Tenham Sands Road there. It's a very large parcel of land. It's the area Gaston had in mind, and I think you're very open to other areas on this site potentially. But this area here, which is sort of probably 300 to 400 metres from the sewage plant, encircled in red there was one area where they were looking at, largely unconstrained in terms of flooding and things like that. In terms of the town plan, it's actually interesting. I'll talk about the zoning in a minute, but there is a structure plan which sort of informs the planning scheme partly. But in that structure plan, this site was actually identified as a future sport and recreation regional sports facility being relocated over there, sports fields and recreation facilities and that. So in terms of community type uses, it's not just been identified potentially as a sewage treatment plant site. It has some potential benefit for sport and recreation and potentially community events. The other interesting thing, it is actually zoned community facility zone. Once again, I think reflecting the intended use for more things than just potentially the sewage plant being out there. Sewage plants and that generally are actually zoned special facilities, not community facilities. So that zoning in itself, I think, sort of indicates potentially a broader range of uses going on this site. In terms of land use, the biggest problem, I suppose, not-for-profit groups like Under the Trees goes through is the cost of actually lodging a DA MCU. If they had to go through the process of lodging an MCU, you're probably looking at in the order of 40 or 50,000 in consultant fees. Main roads would be involved because of Tenham Sands Road. There'd be traffic, engineering, noise, probably biodiversity is on the site. Bushfire reports, town planning reports, referrals to main roads, council fees and that all add up and makes it quite difficult for these not-for-profit groups to actually go through that process. So we actually had a little bit of a look at it, and I think there's actually, if council were open to facilitating this use there's a pathway, I suppose, we thought, which could actually avoid the need for a DA and also still allow council to regulate the use through permits and that, which they normally do. I think at the moment on the sports fields where they are, a park use isn't a listed use, basically then go straight to a permit, licence permit, lease agreement with council rather than a full DA. In terms of land use under the planning scheme, we looked at it, there's probably three categories that can fall under. Outdoor sport and recreation, which is the use listed up there, that actually triggers a impact assessable DA, so publicly advertised, probably the most costly pathway. The second use it could potentially fall under is a community use, which once again triggers a DA and is code accessible and would incur the sorts of costs I mentioned before. The alternative pathway or streamlined process, if council wish to support it, which I think under the planning scheme does permit, is there's actually a land use definition under the planning scheme called park, and if you actually read that definition, the definition of a park, and this is a land use, not a physical designated park, it's a land use definition in the planning scheme. It says premises accessible to the public generally, so it doesn't have to be mandatory, for free sport, recreation and leisure, and may be used for community events or other community activities. Facilities may include children's playgrounds, equipment, informal sports fields and ancillary vehicle parking and other public conveniences. So a community event like this, I think if that area circled in red up there was looked at from council's point of view in terms of the land use and Under the Trees going in there as a park use, then that's accepted development and doesn't trigger the need for an MCU. Obviously the planning department would need to be agreeable to that approach, but that's an avenue to avoid a DA going on there in our view. Then obviously there's the normal booking of parks and council land, which needs a permit and so on, which still means insurances, management plans, traffic management plans, all those sorts of things could be still put in place to make sure the event was run properly, but you wouldn't be burdened by the compliance with the planning scheme. Like, for example, even if you went through an MCU, you'd be assessed against the development design code, which has standards for car parking areas needing to be sealed and line marked and drained properly. Not saying it doesn't have to be, but lesser standard for a temporary event, which is 1 or 2 days, could probably be looked at under a permit arrangement and not go through its onerous level of assessment as a full DA. So that was really, my purpose today was just sort of explain that there, in my view, there is an opportunity to go down that pathway. It would probably mean us making a submission to council's planning department justifying the use fitting into that category and getting confirmation from the planning department that an MCU wasn't needed, and council accepted as a park land use, the activity on there being proposed. Yep, so that's, thank you.
Thanks,
and happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Steve. Gaston, is there anything else from you, or are you happy for me to throw questions?
No, you can ask questions, yeah.
Excellent. Councillor Wagner.
Thank you so much, and thanks for doing such a good job on reporting this and explaining what the options are. Thank you. Just curious what other sites you've sort of looked at down there, and because obviously this one, there's a lot of work to be done to get that one done, and I can see that it does have some benefit for you. So, and it is a sign for sport and rec down the track. So, well done on that. But I'm just wondering which ones you've done, and what is it? How much land are you looking at?
I can answer that question. Yes, we looked at every land, so that's the simple question. So we looked at the Esplanade, we looked at Bright Park, we look at the footy fields, we look at, but we want to have our own spot, And I think Boyne is one of the few communities in Queensland that doesn't have a how do you call it? Showgrounds, It's also this weekend is a show weekend. It was actually Matt Burnett to have this weekend, coming weekend, also as an idea to have then the festival on. Now, as we want to grow and we want to be a significant festival, you need at least 3 hectares as land. So, for instance, we're doing now on Saturday the Esplanade. It's the first time there will be a little festival there. So that's very exciting. And we'll see how it goes with the logistics, but it's only a 400 people event. But it's 5 times more people that come to Under the Tree. So that comes with a whole kind of logistic problems. And so the best would be if we have a private land, because then we don't have to, a lot of paperwork we don't need to do. So we basically looked at all the available land in the Boyne area.
Okay, no worries. No, there was just some other ones that came to mind, and I like the idea that we do have those shared resources and each have their own lease on that. And I understand that over where the soccer fields and what have you are now, there's a lot of competing interests there at the moment. The other thing is, what permanent structures would you be looking at leaving on that parcel of land?
No, toilets and a shed, and maybe a stage.
Yeah. And in terms of your financial position to be able to develop this, because I don't know what triggers would be there in terms of the road access and what have you. If you've got increased traffic, 2,000 people, I'm sure there would be something there, but I don't know. I'm not a planner. But how would you be positioned to be able to develop that?
It's a long-term project. It's going over years. So it took the BTABC also a long time to build a stage on the Esplanade. That's funded by the BTABC. It's not. I want to be very clear about that. It's now yours, but the BTABC paid for that. So it's a long-term project, and it's not going to happen in a year. So every year we add on stuff, if possible. That works with the council.
And would is this by BTABC, or is it Under the Trees specifically that's looking at development?
No, Under the Trees is part of the BTABC. So the BTABC is the legal entity, and so it's all under the wing of the BTABC. That's why Councillor Good Luck left the room. Yeah.
Okay, so would you be looking at moving BAM here then, or are you happy with the Esplanade?
No, I think that Maxine can answer, but we're never going to move the BAM. No, unless the ocean takes the BAM grounds back.
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful location. I was just curious.
No, but look, as I said, we don't have a showground. Look, if you go to every little village, they have their showgrounds, and Boyne doesn't have it. So it could be a good opportunity also to not only think about Under the Trees, but also get other really good things happening there. If you make a nice bike path which continues from Tanham. You can go there for walks. It's a beautiful facility. It's a beautiful area. It's absolutely stunning on the river, and it's not utilized. There's now a fence, and you can't get in there. And then you think, yeah, there's a sewage plant, but look, I've been walking around in that area, and you don't smell it. Maybe a little whiff. It's a very modern facility, so it's a beautiful area, and it's not accessible to the community, and it is community land. So it opens more. Even if the circus comes to town, you can put it there. I just make it up.
No, I
yeah.
get where you're coming from, and it is earmarked for that. And I'm just wondering, what is your time frame then, though? Because obviously we have the Hodder Bridge development in the future, the widening of the road there, like a lot of infrastructure development anyway, but that wouldn't have been in the immediate future. So what's your time frame? What are you looking at?
Next year, next weekend. So what is it? 4 days and a year.
A week?
We would like to do the festival there, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And if it's not possible, then it becomes really hard to have under the trees next year again. Yeah.
No, excellent. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councillor Wagner. Is that Councillor Holzheimer?
Thank you. I think that the initiative to do the smaller events is really important as well to help to feed into. So, and thank you for presenting today. My question is a bit for probably one of our officers, maybe Mark Francis. Is this something that actually comes to us for approval? And if it did, would we have a councillor information session or something on it as well? Sorry, guys, I'm kind of...
Yes is a short answer. Whether it be a lease or making it available as a park, that would be a level of service discussion to come to the boardroom.
That's me, short and sweet as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Patrick.
Thank you, Maxine, Steve and Gaston, for the presentation. It's really great. It's great to see innovation and moving forward. I suppose my question is, with an undertaking of this significance, it would open a lot of opportunities, as you've said, for other organisations to have a venue. What plans do you have in not just having a 2-day event? Do you have plans to hold more events strategically throughout the year as Under the Trees, which would actually then be a regular servicing of that venue, possibly?
Well, look, my motto is always grow slow, and that's how we built my surgery. I started at a servo, and now we got a fantastic facility in Boyne Island, and that took 15 years to do that. So the future, you have to take it step by step, and those are possibilities. And yes, it sounds great, to have a really live music outdoor venue there where you can have regular events. But the thing is, and everybody must be aware of that, we are a small community. And to get 2,000 people to a fest, except for the band or the lights in the park, people will go there. But if it's a small community, and we also have the races there and stuff like that, so you really have to grow it slow. As the community grows, we can add on and make it bigger and more often. But grow slow is our motto.
And in part of your planning, seeing as you're growing the event, accommodation could become an issue. Are you looking at having RV accessibility as part of this plan, or can you shine a light on any of that?
What do you mean with accessibility?
Basically, the bigger you grow your event, so the Boyne
the thing is, what we want is that people can camp there in the long
That's
run.
what I'm trying to
but
get
at the moment, that probably is not possible because of the council. Then we have to work around it. But if that would be possible, that would be great.
So that's sort of in the long term.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, look, most of the showgrounds are also camping grounds for people traveling and stuff like that, and that could also be a possibility. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor McClintock.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Great. I think this is awesome. You answered one of my questions, actually, which was basically you've walked around the site and had a really good quality look at it. There's no concerns on your part about that, I guess, proximity to the plant on the other side of the road there and smells and stuff like that. But you're pretty content that that's not going to affect the way you do your event. We'd hate for an event to be all set up and then, not really be the funnest time for those enjoying it. So, but yeah, you did answer that before, I guess, in a little bit of a different conversation. But I think terms like growing slow are things that are music to our ears when it comes to particularly local government and this sort of area. Lots of people want things to happen tomorrow and they want things to happen immediately. And there are processes and there are procedures, and we like to see also that those that are presenting have actually thought through and processed some of those things. So, really appreciate the thorough knowledge over the process and the way you've thought through and come up with some of those perhaps options that are very plausible, and look forward to discussing this a little bit further in the future ahead. My only concern was there doesn't look to be many trees on that little circle there. Which might need a rebrand, but...
No, that's one of the things if we're going to plant trees.
Great idea.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
We already have people who have the knowledge and work for the council and plant trees to going to help us with that if it all works out.
Sounds like a plan.
With you guys. Yeah.
I'd like to move that the deputation be received, if that's okay.
Thank you, Councillor McClintock. Seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Pat. No, I'm going to go with Councillor Davis online. Sorry, Councillor Patrick, you missed out. Well, before I put that motion, though, I have a question. So, Steve, you mentioned that there's obviously some hurdles if it goes down a different way in terms of a DA or an MCU. But depending on the land use definition, you might be looking at making a submission to our planning department. Is that something you're doing, or are you wanting to have more feedback before you do that?
I'm happy to do that. At the moment, there's nothing formal in progress. I suppose it really depended on how it was received today and that from the councillors. So we'll obviously talk about that a bit more after this.
That's not a big process for you. I know an MCU was massive. A DA can be very daunting. Not for yourself, you do them every day, but just a submission to planning wouldn't take you very long?
No, it's reasonably simple submission.
All right. I think that's probably necessary. We've had the deputation. We've heard you. I think the council heard you loud and clear. And Gaston and Maxine particularly have mentioned this for some time. So I think it's, if anyone wasn't aware of it, they certainly are aware now, even those online, as in terms of the community watching. So I think a submission, so just to formalise it, would be really good, even if it's just an email, something. And then, like I think Councillor Holzheimer asked, we would have an information session. Our planning department could talk us through any issues we might have. And then I think I heard from Mark it would require a council resolution, so we'd bring it back to the table to resolve. Gaston, did I hear you say earlier you're wanting to host this year's Under the Trees or next year's there?
Next year, so it's 4 days and a year. Yeah.
I think we're going to put it for this year, but okay, good. Next year.
This year we do little events. So and we had one already done, and the second is this Saturday at the Tenem Esplanade from 4 till 10. If you haven't bought the tickets, for all the people who are watching, buy tickets now.
Excellent. Beaumont too, I should have mentioned that in the mayor's statement. What date is that again? Give it one more plug.
10th of August, coming Saturday, yeah?
Fantastic.
I expect you to be there. No excuses, man.
The deputation be. I'm going to put that motion now. All in favour? Thank you. The motion's carried. Thank you, Gaston. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Maxine. It's very good to see you back in the chamber. Councillors, would someone be able to message Councillor Churchill and let him know to come back in the meeting, please? My phone and iPad are being used for this Teams meeting, so I can't ring him. We just wait for Councillor Churchill to come back in, and then I'll hand over to Councillor Goodluck to chair the balance of the meeting. There he is. Councillor Churchill's back. Before I hand over, Councillor Davis, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just need to leave the meeting now, Mr. Mayor, because I'm in Townsville for the Coastal Leaders Forum. So if I could be excused.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Absolutely.
Thank you. Bye.
Welcome back. Welcome back, Councillor Churchill. I'll now hand over to Councillor Goodluck to chair the balance of the meeting. Thank you.
Do we need a resolution, Mr. Mayor?
Right, we do, absolutely. Sorry. Can I have a mover? I'll move that. And seconded by Councillor Churchill. All in favour? Sorry?
Is that all
in
good?
favour? That's carried. And thank you, Councillor Goodluck. I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're all good, Tanya? All right, we're on to officers' reports. Item number G/4.1, endorsement of Gladstone Regional Council 24-25 strategic priorities, and I'll hand over to General Manager Carly Quinn. Thank you.
So the purpose of today's report is to present our annual... Thank you. The purpose of today's report is to present our annual strategic priorities document to Council for endorsement and then publication. I will also note that each election cycle, each state and federal election cycle, we also use this informing document to then deliver election toolkits and advocacy kits specific to each of those elections. So following today's endorsement, we will be coming back to you shortly with this state election kit as well. So just for clarity, there'll be two different documents. The state election kit brings out the ones that are relevant for the election, and then we advocate heavily for those in the lead up to each election. But today's is the annual adoption of the strategic priorities. These encourage engagement and investments from all levels of government, industry, investors and other key stakeholders in these crucial areas to make Gladstone a better place. This is the fourth year that we've adopted an annual strategic priorities document, and the priorities that we've elected to go in this year are under two categories: enabling prosperity and enabling infrastructure. Under enabling prosperity, we have renewable energy and transitioning economy, health, housing, waste, skills development and retention, and regional water supply and wastewater infrastructure. Under enabling infrastructure, we have establishing the Royal Navy Fleet Base North in the Port of Gladstone, the Gladstone Heavy Vehicle Oversized Mass Load Transport Corridor, inland rail extension to the Port of Gladstone, Boyne Tanham Aquatic Recreation Centre, Harvey Road Sports and Events Precinct, and Harbour Arbour. These priorities all complement our existing strategies and other publications such as the Strategic Investment Infrastructure Prospectus, the Proponent Guidelines and our corporate plan. One of the changes compared to last year is that we've elected to introduce waste as a strategic priority, and we're specifically advocating for materials recovery facility, a MRF, in the Gladstone region. That's also one of our advocacy pieces that we're taking to the LGAQ conference later this year. The priorities have been developed in collaboration with our internal stakeholders, all of our various experts across the business, as well as councillors, and have also been informed through economic stakeholder groups such as our Economic Development Practitioners Network and other activities that we undertake throughout the year. So I propose the document for endorsement.
Thank you, Carly. Any questions? Councillor Patrick.
It's not a question, but it's more of a comment. A great document, and thank you for all the hard work that goes into producing such a comprehensive document. But I think the document reflects the goals of our community, which is really important. That's why we're all here. And it gives us direction to strive and advocate for these improvements for our community, and I'm happy to move and endorse the strategic priorities for 2024-2025.
Thanks, Councillor Patrick. I've got a mover in Councillor Patrick. I'll get a seconder before we go to questions. Councillor Holzheimer. So moved and seconded. Any further questions? Councillor Holzheimer.
I suppose this is more of a share than a question. As a new councillor, before you get elected, you're quite naive to a lot of the workings for local council, and you assume that rates pay for everything. And this document just demonstrates how important it is for us to advocate at a state and federal level to get services within our community that don't actually come off the back of ratepayers. So I think this is a great piece of work, and was definitely a massive learning curve as a new councillor as well, and appreciate the work you guys do in the background. So thank you.
No further questions, councillors? Councillor Churchill, you're all good? All good. Thank you. This is a great document. I was just trying to look up 18 pages. We're probably getting up there as far as the width. There's probably 5 or 6 pages of pretty pictures in there as well, so it's probably all right. But if you look at the projects listed here in the various different categories, health, inland rail, oversize over mass routes, some of these is not necessarily the exciting stuff that everyday people out there in the community think of, but it could be life-changing for the economy of our region, and that's the groundwork that I guess local government does. I just wanted to ask, we will send this to, I'm pretty sure the opposition leader and the premier departments have got it, but all local candidates and all key political parties throughout the upcoming state election, so everyone's well aware of what the strategic priorities are of the Gladstone region.
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you, Councillor. Good luck. I just mentioned, to your point, Leeka and the comms team have done a fair bit of work in strategically laying out the document. It is the largest one that we have had, but it's developed in a way that each of the advocacy pieces can be pulled out into individual documents. So if a councillor is going to a certain meeting with a minister or someone who can influence one of our strategic priorities, we can very quickly and simply pull you a kit that's specific to that meeting, as well as we can tool you up with the entire kit. We do have a communications plan that we roll out with this each year, which includes distributing it to all of the relevant political parties and the ministers and the shadow ministers. Particularly, we have, I guess, a generic distribution, and then we have a targeted distribution, because each of these strategic priorities potentially has a different minister or a different decision maker behind each one, as well as we then will pull out a targeted state election kit for you. Some of these will be very relevant to the state election, others won't be able to be influenced through the state election, so we'll provide you a very targeted kit just for the state election.
And the idea is to have a really short, sweet, concise advocacy document that you can hand to people, travelling politicians or aspiring politicians who are generally very time poor, and they've got a million people everywhere wanting their attention. We can hand them this, and they can clearly pick out something that they might want to pick off as a priority for our region. And even though it is probably the largest document that I've seen, I'd compliments to the team, the way that it's been laid out. I notice you've spelled out the need, then there's the benefits. So it is very, while I was like, oh, we're getting a little bit large here, it's really well set out. And I think the advice that I get from ministers and when they come to visit is they want something really, really short and sweet. Just tell me what you want. So this is the work that we do every day to try and advocate for the strengths of our region. Lots of work have gone into that, and it's great to see. I love this document and I use it all the time.
Thank you.
Councillor Wagner.
Yeah, I concur. Great document. I do like the way that it's been put in sections, and I think, yeah, you can pull it out and do that. That's great. Just one question, the economic profile, I just don't see a reference where that's come from. Is that from our online, what date was it? That's just curious.
That's from our current REM plan data, which gets updated each year. So it's based on the ABS data, but we do get our forecasting updated annually.
It'd be great in the future ones to put that there and direct people to it so they know that we have it, because it's such a great...
That's a good point, thank you.
On the web, yeah. Yes. Thank you very much, great work.
Yeah.
Councillor McClintock.
Thank you. Brilliant. Love the, like it has been mentioned a couple of times, the thoroughness, I guess, of this, and it's very, very readable. It's very digestible, which makes it very practical. I left my own computer at home, which had all my notes and stuff on it, so I'm trying to remember where I scribbled things on and did things. And one of the ones that I just came across then, sorry for the late little contribution, but as a part of the Queensland Beef Corridor Steering Committee, advocating for that corridor to come through, we have obviously made some advancements in that area, which is really exciting, but there is a little tweak. I think from a government level, the QBC is being rebranded a little bit as a CQBRIS, which I don't actually know what the acronym stands for, but might just help with your advocacy in that space and making sure that we're talking the same language as our state and federal governments as we talk about something that's quite substantial and quite beneficial to the future of our area, and making sure that we are able to supply and receive everything we need to. Thank you.
Thank you for that input. We can make that change before we publish it, so I'm comfortable to take that on board. You did mention a point which I wanted to raise as well, is that we do work really closely with the LGAQ, and we ensure that our advocacy documents talk to their advocacy documents, which then talk to the state and federal policy. So utilising language that aligns with the state and federal policy, and making sure that if we're telling a story, it's the same story that LGAQ is telling, to maximise benefit. Yep.
All right, no further questions, councillors. You guys online are all good. We've got a mover, I think it was Councillor Patrick, seconded Councillor Holzheimer. We'll put the motion. All those in favour? We'll declare that carried. Thank you. We'll move on to item number G/4.2, contestable energy, large sites. I believe the Mayor's got a conflict.
Thank you. I'll leave the room.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And I'll hand over to General Manager for Finance, Governance and Risk, Mark Holmes.
Thank you, Councillor. This item is for your consideration with respect of some contracts we've signed with respect to our supply of electricity for our large site. So Council goes through a process joining with a number of other councils in terms of aggregating that demand and going to the market in order to get the best possible price. So you can see there that due to the very short timeframes in this space, we've had to this has come up, and we've had to essentially execute those documents. So we have accepted an offer from Shell. So this is essentially bringing this back for your endorsement of the actions of the CEO in signing that agreement.
Thanks, Mark. Pretty straightforward. Any questions? Can I get a mover? Councillor Patrick. Seconded Councillor Churchill. No further questions. We'll put the motion. All those in favour? That's carried. Item number... yep. We might just get Mr Mayor back online. And in the meantime, we'll move on to item number G/4.3. Tender 12224, maintenance documentation, and we'll hand over to Jess. Thank you, Jess. What was your role?
Thank you. Currently Acting Manager of Contracts and Procurement.
Perfect. Thank you, Jess.
No worries. So this report is seeking resolution from Council to enter into two contracts, one with Assertivity Proprietary Limited and one with MBMPL Proprietary Limited, for the separable portions of the development of maintenance documentation. So a tender was held for these works. There were four separable portions, four separate asset classes that were tendered, with Assertivity and MBMPL being the best performing in our two classes that are scoped. There's also two classes that are provisional at this stage, and it is our recommendation that those classes are also allocated to Assertivity and MBMPL. The report goes through the offers that were received for which categories, and also the evaluation criteria that were followed by the panel. We are recommending that these contracts be awarded for the full sum of $800,000, which is the budget for this project. Given that those last two classes are still not scoped, we want to have a little bit of room there between the quoted price up towards the budget to allow for any minor variation once we develop those works a little further. This work does form part of the 24-25 operational plan item for optimising maintenance delivery. Happy to take any questions.
Councillor Wagner.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm just wondering, so this is work that cannot be done in-house, is that right? We don't have the capacity or skills to do that? Right.
That's correct. The volume of work and the skill set required plus access to databases with existing material we don't have in-house.
And what's the benefit to council of doing this work?
The benefit to council is this work defines maintenance task resources and maintenance effort by task and by asset class. So in effect what this consultant will do is come in and review the way we go our maintenance at the moment, refer to their databases and then workshop with council technicians and process operators, etc., to then define the maintenance tasks, which then get put together as a bundle of work that identifies things such as, I say resources, when I say resources I mean human, spare parts and consumables to do the work. Then it actually then collects that work, and the end result is maintenance instructions and how to do things is actually written and compiled into groups depending on asset class or geographical area or technician type. And then that's all preparation to be loaded into a computerised maintenance management system, which is due a bit further down the tracks. This is the pre-work. So this is probably, I call it the last piece in the puzzle in terms of actually improving the way we go about our maintenance.
Yeah. Okay, so it is an ongoing. So once they come in and do this, will it be something that we need to get them back to do again, or?
Yeah, it's the information's then loaded into a system which we then go out, do the work, then come back with feedback and changes and recommendations, which our own people then be able to do. This is just setting that foundation bulk load of work to get going.
I think it's really responsible. It's great, but I'm just wondering too, if we're spending $800,000, what would be the benefit do you expect to council?
Thank you. I'm conscious that there are some new councillors in the room who haven't been on this journey. This is our third year of a 3-year program of work, and there's probably some residents online as well with some questions about this. It's a significant investment, as you identified. So I just have got a couple of notes here that I thought I might share about the overall program, because there's a program of work and then there are pieces of work within that. And John's leading one of the specific pieces of work. But we are undertaking a significant project at Council to improve and optimise the way we safely and efficiently deliver our maintenance. This is a 3-year program, and as I mentioned, we're now in the 3rd year of that, and that really is where the rubber hits the road and we start to actually do maintenance differently and be more effective and be more efficient. There's 3 main pieces or streams of work within the program. The first is embedding the maintenance framework. So that's all around the successful optimisation of maintenance. An example last year was setting up teams within the organisation and making sure that a structure of council supports effective and efficient maintenance. So one of those was the centralisation of a maintenance team in John's space. The other part of that is developing all of the processes to make sure that those teams have what they need to be able to plan effectively. So those teams are now in the field and planning with a number of our teams, not right across the business, but we've activated that and they are actively planning. We're also at the same time still developing a lot of the processes that connect all the way from when it comes to reactive maintenance, finding a defect and fixing a defect, and more importantly, the proactive maintenance, the whole life cycle of that maintenance to ensure that we are getting the best bang for our buck for our ratepayers through our asset management. And moving more towards a proactive maintenance program rather than a reactive maintenance, which is where we have been in the past. So it's a significant change, which is why it's that 3-year journey. So one is that embedding that framework. The other part is the asset register and consolidating all of our asset data that lives in a number of different places, all into one single source of truth. And that's actually pretty exciting. We've had a significant work go on and a significant investment over the last 2 years into that space. And we are excitedly able to say that we're still on track to deliver in December this year. This time last year when we talked to council, or just before budgets, we were proposing for us to go live with our new asset register a year later, so December 26th December 25, not December 24. However, discussions with council were at the time that we wanted to bring those milestones forward and we wanted to land this improvement for our community. So the council gave a significant investment for us to bring that forward, and we are on track to deliver that in December this year. This investment today is part of that accelerated program that we committed to at the time. And the third piece of the pie is the computerised maintenance system, which is the tender that we're here today. So taking all of that work that we've been doing for the last 2 years and actually putting it into the technology. So it's around writing those packs that we need the technical expertise to help us now do the hard work that we've done, put it into the technology. Over the last 12 months, we've been rolling out the iPads into the field. We've got the devices, we've got people used to using them, and now we need to get the work onto them. So the ultimate outcome here for our frontline people is that, and for our team leaders, is our team leaders can spend more time in the field with their people because they're able to supervise the work and make sure we're doing things effectively and safely because they're not in the office planning the work. The work gets planned centrally and gets delivered on a device to the teams. And there's planning meetings that happen with those team leaders in advance to make sure that we're doing the right work at the right time and we're capable of doing it, we've got the capacity to do it, all of those types of things.
Oh, no, it sounds great. Yeah, I like the way you're heading with that. It just seems like a lot of money, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So with the billions of dollars of assets that we have, particularly our pipelines under the city and things like that, that's all factored into this, like just in layman's terms. Has there been anything that's come out of this that has really changed the way that we've, have we seen any really significant milestones so far from the work we've done? Can you share any successes with us?
Yeah, I'll share one, or do you go first? You might have, it's your team that are feeling the impacts.
We were highly reactive, particularly in the water and wastewater space, so we were able to put a centralised planning team together that took some of that reaction away from the team leader of that area. So 12, 18 months ago, we weren't working to a maintenance plan. We were actually just coming to work every day and getting on with it. Now we have a plan that we work to week in, week out. We're able to measure that and then provide feedback to then start doing more planning. That's probably the biggest impact that we've had. And for the budget build for this year, for example, one was approved a couple of weeks back. A lot of that input came from those teams.
Yeah, okay.
I'd also like to add, from a planning point of view, we completed a maintenance strategy for each of our asset classes, which essentially gives a roadmap for moving from a reactive space into preventative space, resource requirements, and those are the maintenance plans which are going to get enabled with technology through this piece of work.
Excellent. And you had one?
Those were actually the two milestones that I was thinking of. I think we've made a really big difference for our people on the front line, and we will continue to. We haven't finished rolling this out. There is still more relief coming for our people. And by us doing the maintenance strategies, we've actually been able to make sure that the planning that we do in future is achievable, it's affordable, and we've got the resources to deliver it.
So it's fair to say that in the long run there'll be a lot of cost benefits to council. Excellent. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Councillor McClintock.
I think you might have answered my question earlier in your previous statement, but there was more around just confirming, I guess, the 800,000 that's been, or we're looking to approve here, that's been allocated to that. This isn't full reign for these tenders to do as much as they like up to that budget, but we'll actually, as a council business, outwork that to those tenders as to the jobs that they give to us. Does that make sense? It just sort of was worded when I read it the first time that we just sort of give them a cap and they can pack out their lunches as big as they'd like to up to that cap, but I'm sure that's not how it works.
No, that's definitely not the intention. Similar to the way that we approve a budget for, say, a panel arrangement when we come to council for that sort of thing. So the quotes that we've been given for the first packages of work that are well defined will certainly be held to, and then we'll need to see some additional information regarding the provisional classes if there's to be any variation from the price that they've given so far. It just means that for a minor change, we won't need to come back to council. We can continue to get on with things.
Councillor Holzheimer.
I think Councillor Wagner asked half of my questions as well. Thank you. it's nice to be on the same page as well. Do we have a plan to communicate this out to the community, these wins, and how this impacts them? Because I see this as part of that maturity work, isn't it, Mark, in regards to this is what it costs to run this facility and this is what you're actually paying for as a ratepayer, or what it costs to lay down this piece of bitumen or whatever that is as well. So, yeah.
I'll talk firstly to the project that we're currently doing, so the program of work. We do communicate that quarterly through our operational plan quarterly reports, so we include the stories in there around the progress that we're making and the milestones. But I think what you're really looking for is when we reach these outcomes for the community and we make a difference in our service delivery, is how we're telling that story. So that really is going to be coming in the next 12 months after we roll this out, and that's a focus that we've been talking about of the program, of how do we ensure that we realise the actual value and the benefits that we're looking for, and how do we tell that story? Mark might have some more of that.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I don't think we should, Carly's talked about a 3-year programme, I don't think we should underestimate the scale of what we've attempted and the ambition that Council has supported us in achieving in terms of the amount of work that we're doing to try and transform that. Ideally, in terms of the actual work that we're undertaking, I would hope that it was invisible to the community. All they would see is increased service levels, better service, cleaner places, better mode, all those things that we've talked about, all there. In essence, we've changed the whole backstage area in terms of how we're going to enable that work and how we get that. And that will allow the boardroom with the community to consider service levels at a level of certainty that we've never been able to before.
And internally, our staff that deliver these services have a planned and stable working environment, because I know what they're coming into work to every single day, which then leads to better services, industrial harmony and all those sorts of things.
Yeah, I think the work's really exciting and well done. I wish I could take credit for it, but I haven't been sitting in this seat for long enough to do that. So well done, everyone. Yeah, well done.
In all great questions, I think we started, this would be a continuous journey for local government, but asset maintenance became a major issue probably 5 or 6 years ago through the whole local government space, because local government traditionally, believe it or not, for decades was really terrible at best practice asset management. And forgive me if I'm articulating it incorrectly, I'll happily stand corrected, John, but we had lots of teams that would just turn up to work and based on the CSRs and that reactive space, that's what they would go and fix for that day. And so it's been such a huge journey on identifying all of the assets, developing all the asset maintenance plans so that we can actually step, as Mark said, into that preventative maintenance space so that our teams can go out and maintain those assets before they break down, before we get leaks, before you get potholes, etc. So it's a massive, massive journey. And I want to congratulate the team for this huge journey. Every year it's been something that we've been really working hard on. I'm not sure that, I'm looking forward to December this year. I'm sure there'll be another step in the journey and another and another. It'll be an ever-evolving journey that this council and every other council takes, over the years. But the biggest thing for me is making sure that we can give certainty to our frontline staff that turn up to work every day, that we can make things easier, safer, that they can get the parts, that they can be productive, turn up to work and get their jobs done to the best of their ability, because we have some frustration in that space, as every organisation does, but that's what this work is about, and this is really driven to, I think, in large part from our frontline staff that are really passionate about providing a quality and efficient service to our community, because they're ratepayers as well, and they know how we can do things better, and this is all about making sure we can try and achieve that in time. And for me, the thing that I just wanted to clarify, that the consultants will come in, technically review, refine and develop the maintenance documents. So there's a lot of work that we've got already, and we're getting it is correct me if I'm wrong, but we're going to bring in external expert advice that can give us technical reviews and align what we've got with best practice and then put it all together and give us something that's really, really workable. Is that basically what this is about?
That's correct, Councillor Goodluck, and the beauty about using these consultants, these types of consultants, is they have access to a lot of information right across the country, both in local government and outside industry, to input into these processes. We don't throw out what we have, we take what we have, or they take what we have, then add to that and put it in a format that we can load into the computerised maintenance management system. You can imagine if we just introduced the computerised system tomorrow and didn't take this into consideration, it wouldn't work. So this stuff is vital. This work really is vital for success of that.
And at all time, I'm trying to remember back to the vision that people have explained to me over the years, but, you know, if a person turns up, jumps on the computer or iPad, sees what job's there for the day, the parts are in the store because they've been procured the week before, you know, so all these different departments and aspects of the business line up to mean that the frontline work that our people do every day is very streamlined. And part of, you know, we obviously know what we do, but we don't know what we don't know. So using expertise like this, to me, could be really valuable because, as you said, John, they might be able to tell us, well, here's what other people are doing, and this is, you know, the best practice here, there, and there, and it can help us refine our services as well. So I think this is really valuable, and I look forward to seeing this journey continue moving forward. If there's no other questions, we might, I think, do we have a mover? No, we haven't got a mover. I'll get a mover. I'm going to move this one, actually. I'm happy to move it. And we'll go Councillor Churchill as a seconder. There's no further questions. Put the motion. All those in favour? Declare it carried. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thanks, councillors.
Move on now to item number G/4.4, Audit Risk and Improvement Committee meeting summary, 17th of April 2024. And back to you, Mark.
Thank you, councillor. This item and the next one after it is just following some feedback we've had following the tabling of recent minutes of our Audit Risk and Improvement Committees meetings. We've just put it into more of a summary and storytelling type format just to tell a story of those relevant meetings. So this one is with respect to our 17th of April meeting. Certainly with respect to that, it goes into what items were presented, but also what some of the questions were and how what were some of the major items and story points from that. Happy to take it as read and then probably answer any questions with respect to that, because as you can see from the items tabled, it does, you know, essentially certainly cover most parts of the business and the services we provide.
Councillor Wagner. Mover.
Yeah, and I do have a comment, and that would be that, yeah, I really like the way this is presented, and it does help us to see what is being done, and this, because the audit committee, I mean, it's just been so valuable to us so far. So yeah, well done, congratulations.
Move Councillor Wagner, seconding Councillor Patrick. Any further questions? No? We'll put the motion. All those in favour? Declare it carried. Thank you. Item number G/4.5, Audit Risk and Improvement Committee meeting summary, 12th June 24. And back to you, Mark.
Similar to the previous item, yeah, this tells the story of your 12th of June meeting of your Audit Risk and Improvement Committee. Yeah, and was very much a lot of those similar items. This was actually more around looking from an external audit perspective at preparing our essentially ourselves for our external audit for the year. So we get audited 30th of June financial statements, and this gave that committee some comfort as to how we've progressed with respect to that, but also then considered a number of internal audits that were conducted through that period as well.
Councillor Wagner, seconding Councillor Patrick. No questions? Nothing further? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Declare that carried. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you all. We have no councillors. Sorry, well, do we have any councillor reports? No one's going to...
Sorry, Councillor Goodluck. I would like to say something I forgot to mention in the Mayor's statement, and that is to congratulate our Olympians, Natalia Diem, for her bronze medal in the BMX freestyle, and of course Jack Cartwright for his silver medal in the 4x100 freestyle swimming. And we have Peyton Craig, who will be running tomorrow night in the 800 metres, and we wish Peyton all the very best. I think I should have mentioned that in the Mayor's statement, and apologies for not. Thank you.
Exciting stuff. Punching well above our weight, Mr Mayor. No other councillor reports? No. We've got no urgent business, there's no notices of motion, and there's no confidential items, so we'll declare the meeting closed at 10:09 a.m. Thank you.